Well, afternoon, everybody. My name's Tim Papworth, and I'm chairing this session, this workshop session with you today. You may have noticed on your seats you've got these little key fobs. These are to be staying in this room, so please don't take them home. They won't do any good for your TV at home at all. They're not remote controls for the television or your computer. They're so you can vote on the slides that we're going to be seeing on the presentation. And a lot of them have got more than one vote, so you can vote for more than one option on your key fob, except for one slide, which is slide 12, when there's only allowed one vote. So that's very interactive. You come to a very exciting, interactive workshop. And it's my job, firstly to say I'm Tim Papworth from Norfolk. I'm a potato farmer down in the East Anglian part of the UK. And I'm going to present you first to Doris Blaesing, who has come all the way from Australia. We're really lucky to have her. She's a senior consultant with RM Consulting Group in Australia. She has extensive experience in managing R&D and natural resource management. And she has one special thing that I actually have a connection with her, because we both went and studied at Aberdeen University, not too far away. Yeah. So that's good, and brought back some happy memories for me coming back up here from my youth. And then later on we've got Anton as well, and Anton's going to be covering the Cool Farm tool, which some of you may have heard of already on the previous session, but Anton Haverkort from Wageningen University in Holland, in the Netherlands, sorry. So without more ado, I'm going to sit down and ask Doris to start her presentation. Thank you.
Yes. Welcome to the workshop, and yes, I think you probably got the best one. Good choice. So it's all about resource use efficiency, and we did hear quite a bit on that this morning, especially on water and the general outlook for the next 20 years. And I guess especially as farmers, I would think you would sit in presentations and think, so what does it mean for me, or what does it mean on my farm? And I think we're going to go to that actually decision making, how do we make good decisions on our farm? And I'm very passionate about that. If you know, people know me from Australia, I spend a lot of time on farms with my spade. So, but we thought we're using this little gizmos, so you can make choices, and you can't win money. But so I would like you to read the first slide and make your choices with your keypads when I tell you to do so. So you wait until I'm the boss, until I say you can press the button. But have a look, and you can press as many. So you press the number on your keypad with what you agree on this slide. So see how we go. Actually, this hasn't moved. This one hasn't moved. Hang on. I'm still learning that. I'll get better at it. Now you can press your button with your selections, or one, it doesn't matter.
The ones you agree with?
The ones you agree with, yes.
You're the boss.
Bad management here, bad leadership, sorry about that. So we only got 6 people have voted, so make up your mind, guys.
Which way?
Which?
If you don't agree, you press on.
I've got 2 different screens. See, we've got 2 different screens.
I've got green there, and you've got lots of green there.
I know.
I don't quite know what's going on there.
Yeah. No, we've got 2 different screens, that's why I had it wrong.
Confuse me.
I have to check that one next time.
Oh, right. I've got
Now we get it right. Yep. 22 people, it's about right. Everybody finished? You can still. 2 seconds. That's it. That's it. So we've got 27 people who voted. And we see what you all liked or didn't like. Run it on that one. Okay. So obviously most people do not agree that we have very good technical information to make informed choices. But other than that, I mean, it's reasonably evenly distributed. And what we actually will do with the same questions, you will ask the same questions later on, so see whether you change your mind after we tell you. Just have to learn this. So really, when we look at the questions that were raised this morning, so these are really questions that we want to ask ourselves. And I think if you look at resource use efficiency, probably the biggest issue is to actually the sharing of resources like water, the cost of resources like fertilizers and pesticides, and we're still okay. It just changes here. And also one interesting aspect is actually the last sentence I put on the slide is in one of the FAO publications is for US farmers. It's obviously quite obvious that US farmers are the agents of change and should be asked. But that's not really that obvious for some people who make policy decisions that the farmers have to be asked. So I just threw that there as food for thought. I think I have to do this one here. So really, if you look at the question, so what would it be if the drivers for using the resources, the scarce resources, would be either really driven by natural resource management issues, which is really the first issue, and certainly in Australia we have a big driver to use resources more efficiently and share them with the environment and be very much aware of our environmental impacts. On farm, we of course have learned that efficient use of resources makes us more money, so it's a very profitable thing. So we actually get a win-win between the environment and your pocket. And the other thing is that we're finding that retailers and consumers are far more interested in how resources are used for producing certain products. So there are different drivers apart from the scarce resources for being more efficient with them. So the question is, again, on farm, how do we make good decisions? For me, from all the work I've done, for me, a central resource is the land or it's the soil. And managing the soil will help managing all the other resources more efficiently. And again, there is a certain expectation in the community that farmers actually are the stewards of the land. I guess you have the feeling, if this is my farm, I own it and I do what I like. But it seems that farmers are under increasing pressure to actually be the caretakers. So let's go to the land and the soil health. There is a real benefit from looking after soil health, and it's certainly, we've got good data on the profit increase with better land management. We certainly have very good effects on the planet, having more biodiversity, soil biodiversity, and certainly our food security will improve. As we heard this morning, we do need to grow more on less land, and we might have to concentrate on not the marginal land, but the land that is good land to actually get better use. And certainly nutrient cycling is one of the big drivers of our soil. Good soil health is a big driver of nutrient cycling. So your fertilizer cost certainly will reduce by looking after soil health. Doesn't work. So what have we done in Australia? And what have we found are the big issues? And certainly the loss of organic carbon is probably the major issue. I like to call it black magic. So if you look after your organic carbon levels, you're not suddenly, in Australia we have the carbon farming initiative, so everybody talks about maintaining carbon because of climate change. But even before that, we've been talking about carbon because we certainly can find a direct relationship between carbon in the soil and marketable yield of potatoes. So as soon as you run your resources down under a certain level, your carbon, you're going to lose yield, whether you care about climate change or want to believe in it or not. Relation to carbon is soil structure and certainly the nutrient cycling. Major issues with soil loss and erosion also managed by organic carbon. And some unlucky people like we in Australia also have to deal with salinity and sodicity, and even there organic carbon is a major buffer to actually enable us to grow on marginal land because of salinity. And certainly, as I mentioned, the CO2 emissions, again, everything is really linked to organic carbon. So I actually believe that we have a good monitoring and management tool for soil health, but that we often try to not be site-specific in our solutions on farms. Often we have this one, there is no silver bullet. I think you have to really understand the soils and conditions on your farm, and they're very different. And also you actually personalize on what you want to achieve, your rotations. So what we actually have done in Australia, we certainly looked in a quite big projects at soil health indicators, and we measured everything that I mentioned before and more, and did a huge effort to find out what actually drives marketable yield. And the answer was black magic. It's organic carbon. And soil structure, we measured it as aggregate stability, and we could find a direct link, but the big one was with organic carbon. And in certain soil types, every soil type has got a certain level. If you go below that in organic carbon, you will lose marketable yield, you will have more diseases, and so it's really worthwhile looking after organic carbon. A lot of work we've done with potato grower groups, discussion groups, going on farms, doing demonstration trials, trying to, and that's where the monitor and manage come from, that if you don't measure our performance, if you don't measure our soil health, we actually don't know where we're going. And the trends are very much more important than the absolute values. One issue that is driven very much by natural resource management in Tasmania is the property management planning. So we actually are getting out on the farms and helping actually planning rotation and planning and doing carbon footprinting to make sure we actually look after the resources and are efficient and profitable. A really new one is probably in Tasmania, the water access plans. We are one of the few, the only place in Australia where actually water is reasonably plentiful, and we're building irrigation schemes. But the farmers must have a water access plan, which means, again, they must have a property management plan for the property to be allowed to use the water. So I think more and more of this kind of regulation will appear worldwide. So really, we didn't come up with much, because in the real magic bullet to keep organic carbon and to manage better is to reduce tillage. And if you actually look at the photo, this is actually a trial with minimum traffic and potato production. And after heavy rain, you can see the difference. And minimum traffic doesn't mean controlled traffic because in horticulture that is very hard to do. But we're just minimizing the traffic on the paddock, and within a year or two you see major differences. The other thing is to use green manure crop to have the soil never bare. That's the biggest loss of organic carbon, is fallow. So the soil should be covered, and having good root growth is really important to actually grow more organic matter. That's the cheapest way of getting organic matter is to actually grow it. So grow green crops and keep them there. Certainly using good genetics, and I think that's a great challenge, and it's mentioned this morning, to actually use resources. I think Anton might mention the Russet Burbank example, I'll leave that to you. And using healthy seed. We had a challenge in Tasmania from McCain's to increase yield, or we wouldn't have a potato industry. And we did manage to go from 45 to 70, 80 tons per hectare. And one of the big drivers were to use healthy seed and to manage irrigation. And now we come to a really cool tool, which is another way of actually using the monitor to manage and trying to work out how you're going in resource use efficiency.
Yeah, you were mentioning Russet Burbank. Over breakfast, we sat together over breakfast, and then said, well, Russet Burbank has such a low resource use efficiencies and so on. So, well, you should not measure it in yield of Russet Burbank as such, but in maybe how many kilograms of French fries per hectare you make. And then, if the recovery of the variety is higher to make French fries, then it may all of a sudden change its footprint. Is somebody a potato grower? I need a volunteer potato grower in the room. Is somebody growing potatoes? Peter is. I knew you were. if it's going to be successful, I also am going to ask you to stay in the second workshop here. No, I'm just kidding. I need the other glasses. So what we usually put, it's going to work immediately, yeah, from this. I'm sorry? Double click. Where? Anywhere? It's magic. We can quickly go through it. General info. What the tool does. Location is Canada. Canada. Year and again the country. Well, the location is Quebec or Toronto? Huh?
Ontario.
Ontario. I have to go back to Canada. Oops, where it was. Because we have to put in the country, as I said this morning to somebody who was there maybe, if a country uses a lot of, Ontario, if a country uses a lot of renewable energy to produce electricity, then it has repercussions for the tool. Ontario. We are going metric. What is you take into your mind a variety and a crop that you mostly produce for a company or so? Yeah. So which variety you're thinking of?
Three leaf variety. Put alfalfa.
Okay, alfalfa. No, but it doesn't really matter. What kind of yield do you get on average? The last couple of years.
30 tons.
30 tons. That's what you also deliver to the factory, or do you wash, grade?
Wash, grade, maybe 27.
27. Beautiful. How many tons of seed you use?
Roughly 5 per hectare.
So that's 1/6 of what you. Yeah, but this is what it is, huh? The climate is temperate. Average temperature is something like this. Okay. Then we go to crop management. Your soil texture are heavy, medium.
Medium to light.
Okay. Soil organic matter.
2 to 3%.
Okay. Well, you irrigate.
Some.
Anyway, you do pH?
Yeah, 6 to 7.
So it's almost default. So how much nitrogen do you apply on this to achieve this 30 tons?
Do you count manure or don't count manure?
Manure will be later.
Okay, so we apply roughly 90 pounds.
90 pounds?
Okay, so 90 kilos.
90 kilos.
90 kilos, okay. Yes, pure product is N. And how much phosphate?
0.
0. Ooh, it's very good. You're mining your soils.
We've got manure.
Okay. Okay. Fertilizer 3. I'm going to potassium only.
0 as well.
Also 0. Okay, so I don't have to put it. Manure, you said?
Yeah.
What kind of manure?
Beef cattle manure. Liquid manure.
Liquid. Cattle, farmyard manure. That's slurry, yeah?
Yeah.
It should be there somewhere.
Yep, there it is. Cattle slurry.
Cattle slurry. Beautiful. The seed that you use, do you treat it with something?
Yes.
How many fungicides, insecticides?
A little bit of Actara and depends on what. We
Two.
use calcium sulfate.
2 products. Do you do any nematicide applications? No, nothing. Think of planting. How many times do you use herbicide?
Just once.
Once. Also to kill the foliage at the end?
Yes.
2 herbicides. How often fungicide?
Probably 8 times.
So 10 treatments already. Insecticides mixed in the tank?
Maybe twice.
Twice. Okay, we have 12 treatments. 1, 2. Well, this is it for the time being. We go
We
to.
also produce electricity. We generate green energy.
Yeah, but that's for the market, not to be friendly for your potatoes. I'm sorry, I have to be very strict. It can be done, but use diesel?
Yes.
Kind of plowing?
We do minimum tillage.
Minimum tillage.
Yeah.
So you don't plow?
We don't plow.
Okay. Subsoiling?
We do ripping.
Ripping. That's a subsoiler. Once. Moldboard you don't, eh? But you do any harrowing or minimum tillage? It's just ripping. Okay, beautiful. And no moldboard ridging, or do you ridge? Sorry?
With the planter.
0. Destoning, disc harrowing, roll harrowing, planting, you plant potatoes. Good. Biocide spraying, I think 10 times, because 2 times you have tank mix. But these are field operations. Fertilizer spraying, fertilizer spreading.
Spreading
Once.
That's 90%.
Yeah. Manure you don't inject.
Yeah.
Percentage? Sorry.
We do have manure.
Yeah, but that's spreading. A manure. Where is manure? There should be manure spreading somewhere, huh?
It was there. It was there.
Where? Yeah, we do.
We basically spread it and disc it in right away.
Okay, put 2 times here. How much irrigation? 100%?
No, 60%.
How many millimeters from the 60%?
Probably 10 centimeters, 100 millimeters.
100 millimeters. With grid electricity?
No, some grid and some diesel.
Electricity percentage? 50%.
Half.
50%. Pivot?
90% pivot.
Okay. Pumping depth? How deep do you get the water from the surface?
Well, one we have a couple wells, and most is from streams.
So 5 meter?
No, 2 meters.
2 meters. Distance? Horizontal distance that you pipe it?
Yeah, I would say it's a bit less than 1,000 meters. Probably 500 meters max.
500? You're doing very well. You harvest them?
Yeah.
Fully operated? No windrowing?
Yeah, we do win.
Holm flailing? Pulling? Burning? Your average distance between the field and your store?
Probably 20 kilometers.
20? Oh, that's quite far. But it doesn't matter, because we are talking farm gate here. Huh? Primary processing, you wash them?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, for frito-lay you have to wash them. Huh? You grade them?
Yes.
Washing 100%. You're doing very, very well. Time-wise also, I think. No problem. Which proportion of those potatoes do you store?
Oh, 95%.
95. And what is the average storing period?
Oh, I would say 7 months.
7 months.
8 months.
Okay. Any refrigerating, or you use ambient air only?
We do refrigerate in June, July.
So for the whole growing period, how much on average is the temperature outside higher than in your?
Just I would say 15% of the time.
No, but I need to know the average of the whole period. What is the actual cooling that you would have to do? In winter is nothing, but over 15% of the time, how many degrees?
Oh, I see what you're saying, in June and July.
Yeah.
Probably 4 or 5 degrees Celsius.
No, it's probably less, 3. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah. CIPC?
Yes.
How many?
1.
1 treatment, 25 grams or so.
Depends on the storage period.
Yeah, but this is minimal anyway. I think this is it. We can go to, well, I don't put in the transport now. This manure or slurry, how many kilometers does it travel?
20 kilometers.
20 kilometers. And that's 25 tons, huh? How many tons did you say?
30.
30 tons.
Slurry?
Yeah?
60,000 liters per hectare.
Oh, okay, the 60 tons. 60 tons transported for 20 kilometers? Okay. I think we can go to the results now. Your footprint. Oh, not bad. Well, I'm not supposed to be biased, of course, as a scientist. Those are your emissions. In total, it costs for your potatoes to produce them 102 kilograms of CO2 to produce 1 ton of your frito-lay potatoes. 20% is seed. I already said you produced 30 tons, and 1/5, 6 tons is already seed. Well, this is fertilizer and all the other things. Anyway, you see, it's an easy, elegant thing to do. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Thank you, Doris.
Okay.
That's just part of the workshop to show how elegant and easy it can be done, actually. And if you later on you're interested in changing more slurry or using slow-release nitrogen, all those features are there, so you can play around with it. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, so I shouldn't touch it or anything, huh?
So, how do we get out of here? Oh, yep. Oh no, shut it now. Okay. Okay, now you have to wake up again because we're going to vote again. If you get ready and you say, you know, what is the most, after you've seen the tool, what do you think, which decisions the tool could help you with? And just hang on, I'll tell you when to vote. Yes, you can vote now.
Only one?
Is it only one? Okay, oh yeah, the most important. So what is the most important tool? So probably one of the things a tool really helps you with, if you do it, if you change any of your management and then look again and say, is that actually, and usually, I mean, everybody's talking now about carbon. Usually the less carbon you produce in some activities, the less it costs you. So you could nearly replace the carbon with dollars. Because if, for instance, you spend a lot of money pumping for irrigation, it will cost you a lot of money and a lot of carbon. So that's probably, in Tasmania, we have a similar, not so cool tool, but it does similar things. And we found that really irrigation and pumping costs were the biggest cost, above everything. And then, of course, tillage operations, but really as soon as you can reduce, in a cropping situation, as soon as you've got animals on the farm, that changes everything. So I think we're all done?
No.
No? Oh.
You were talking over there, I was listening.
Very good, very good. Okay, I think we're all done. Okay.
29. One more. 30.
Okay, done. See you. Okay, go to the next slide. So obviously you all think it helps you, and it does obviously help you to make decisions about greenhouse gases, but it definitely makes decisions in doing that about profitability. And it's really great. Like we've done this kind of work with our farmer groups, and actually having a look at who is doing better than somebody else and why, and actually then discuss how we can change the footprint and change the money we're spending on resources. So very quickly, one of the big inputs are fertilizers, and people have been talking about peak phosphorus and less potassium availability. So efficient use of nutrients is certainly important for your profitability, and you don't want losses into the environment. And there's about 8 different things are listed that will drive nutrient use efficiency, and you could spend a whole day just talking about that, but really the one thing to remember is the most important driver of nutrient use efficiency is your root length, density. So the more roots you grow, everything else which is on this list is driven by roots. So if you don't grow, if you don't get the crop established quickly and healthily to grow a good root system, you will spend more money on your resources. And that's probably a really good thing to remember, because I deal with a lot of farmers, and I remember one guy took me home for lunch and he said to his wife, we talked all day, Doris, and about roots. And she said, what? Anyway, so remember, it is really important, and it's really good to have a spade, and actually that's why I had this picture with my farmer group digging, to have a look that and that's where the genetic differences come from. It's the efficiency of the root system to take up water and nutrients. This morning we heard a bit about water, and water is going to be one of the big issues in the future on different levels, and there will be political decisions made, and there will be decisions you have to make on your farm. And I think personally, I guess one of the things that I mentioned this morning is to be more efficient with how we use water and to reduce waste. And these statements that are on this slide are actually out of a book on the status of resources in the world, and it says there that most irrigation systems are not performing well. And from what I've seen, I would agree with that. They're either not performing well or not managed very well. And even though we've got wonderful technology to measure soil moisture, not many people using them. And I think a spade and a boot is also a very good way, and your hands to measure soil moisture. And people are probably not using these tools well enough, because the biggest driver of yield, apart from seed quality, is good water management. It does override nutrition management. It's seed quality, water management, and then nutrition. So I think probably I agree with, you can vote on that actually. Let's vote on that quickly. F9.
Let's hurry up.
Hurry up. I tell you when to vote. You just think what you agree with.
On more possibilities.
That's one and this one. I think that's the one where there's only one. Or is it multiple? Okay. We can agree with everything. Or not. How many do we have? 30? Or?
Yeah, about 30, yeah.
Okay. All finished?
We need 2 more.
It's anonymous.
Okay.
No. No,
That's it. Stop.
I think that's it.
Okay, see what we come up with. So oh, that's good, everybody agrees, not everybody. A lot of people agree with me. There's certainly some money to be made by more efficient irrigation system, and also that will reduce the carbon footprint, especially if you're pumping from deep down. Drivers for water use efficiency, I think it was covered really well this morning, so we might skip that. But certainly the ecosystem health is going to be increasingly important. The Australians know that there's huge issues with, for instance, water sharing in the Murray-Darling Basin between the environment and the people, and there's huge impacts on communities by water being taken off farms. You can talk for weeks about that issue. But in summary, I would think that the main gains for resource use efficiency there will be these main 7 drivers for it. Genetics is going to be very important, so I think it's worth looking out for good genetics wherever you can and get the best variety you can get hold of. And that's not as easy as it sounds, because breeding is more concentrated now in certain countries because of the efficiency. And I just talked to a guy from Italy earlier on, and there is no breeding done for the specific conditions in Italy. So it's really hard to get the good genetics. Certainly we talked about land and crop management practices. Site selection is important because people do often grow on marginal land or on land that is slightly graded and never will get the yield. So resource use is going to be very inefficient if you insist to grow on marginal land. And sometimes it's better to have a rotation of 5, 6, 7 years. Sounds crazy then to actually push it. You might lose money, going into the closer rotations because of disease issues and higher inputs. Certainly, market specifications, I don't think we can change that. I think if people want washed, wonderful, beautiful potatoes, we will not change that. If it could be changed, it would actually help us to use resources. Certainly, we're finding with the guys I deal with, they don't know their costs well enough. So it actually is easier than to look at your costs, sometimes using something like a cool tool, because it gives you information about the costs. Certainly, I think there's a huge need of better training and education, and the carbon economy, even though we will hate it, will probably drive some efficiencies, and from that point will be helpful. So we can do another voting. So we can do that now.
Ask the audience.
Yep.
This is the same questions that were asked in the beginning.
We're nearly there. Okay, I think we had about 27 before, didn't we? For the oh no, 28.
Yeah.
That's about when we stopped. 28.
Oh,
no,
one more.
More. Okay. So most people agree with number. Oh, I'm very happy that people agree with me.
Why doesn't it add to 100%?
It doesn't, because I think some people press several choices, so that's why it doesn't add up. But well spotted.
Also the previous slide, so it's a bit confusing. I see the bars. I think the bars are clear.
Yep. But probably it's interesting to see, you know, we do not understand the economic drivers well enough, and that's probably one of the other issues, that it's very hard to grapple. What value are you putting on organic matter? What value are you putting on soil structure? I don't think we actually have that information, even though we know that organic matter and soil structure would be the biggest drivers in potato marketable yield of potatoes.
I don't think that's what the question was, though, for number 3. The
Num
question was about sequestering carbon as well as...
Oh, that is, yeah, number 3 is actually, yeah. It doesn't fit, does it? Okay, so we have got the wrong text on there.
Why? What went on with?
Yeah.
Because they sequester rather than produce.
It's all to do with the translation from Australian to English.
Oh yeah, it's got by a German. I'm actually from Germany. So studied in Scotland. It must be confusing. Don't know what happened. There must be one of the previous slides in the text. So this last
The last slide, is it?
Last slide was just to see whether we actually get different feedback, which is probably hard to judge because it would take us forever to get back, won't it? It looked to me as if it changed, didn't it?
I think we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, we wrap it up.
Well,
No, yep.
thank you very much, audience, for voting and being interactive with us. And can I ask you to thank Doris Blaesing from Australia, who's come all this way to talk to us, and Mr. Haverkort from Netherlands, from Wageningen University. So thank you very much. And would you please, if you haven't, sorry, we haven't got time for questions, but you can tweet or you can Facebook or you can come and fill one of these cards out with a question if you like. And can you please leave your key fobs on your seat or give them to the staff on the way out? They're no good for the remote control on the TV. Thank you.